It is time to do a reset on your strategy before we get busier in September with new jobs that are going to be posted. I'm Tony McBride and I run the Career Transition Club, and last week we had a session where we went round the room and dived into everyone's strategy to see what people can do differently as we get into September and take advantage of the fact that it is quieter at the moment, meaning you can dive deep in what you need to do differently rather than see the jobs in September and start working at it again. I'm here to share the key themes that come out of that conversation so you can pivot and do something different with your strategy. First, we're going to start with job search tactics and tapping into the hidden market. One of the things that you need to stop doing is chasing recruiters whenever you've not had a response to jobs that you've applied for. Now, if you've had a screening interview or you've had a job interview, then it makes sense to chase that directly. But there are far better things that you could be doing with your time if you've only just applied for the roles, and we'll go through plenty of these in a moment. Equally, try and search for jobs based on skills rather than just the roles. A lot of people are caught up on job titles and search for job titles, but actually, if there's a certain skill that you've got that's quite niche or you want to be more involved in that skill, search by job title and see what kind of roles might come up. Have a think as well about ruling yourself out for different jobs and whether you're scrutinizing yourself a little bit too much. For example, if it's got a couple of desirable skills that you don't have and you decide not to apply, you might be cutting off your nose to spite your face. So consider starting to apply for those roles, see what happens and see if it can change things up a little bit. Sign up for some new job boards. So try and find out if there's any niche job boards out there. So for example, if you're in tech, go to Welcome to the Jungle. If you're in financial services, go for eFinancial Careers. Sign up to those job boards because the quality of applicants tends to be better there. Have a think about your LinkedIn contacts and see if there's anyone that you haven't spoken to recently who's working somewhere that you could potentially work in. Reach out to them, send them a DM and see if they might be interested in referring you in, because that could be another way of tapping into the hidden market. Whenever you're going through your CV, make sure that you're tailoring it for every opportunity that you're going forward for. So have a look at your CV template and make sure that it's written in a way that you can easily reshuffle the skills and you can easily move your experience around so that you ultimately get seen better and have a better chance of getting an interview. When you're making applications, make sure that you consider the salary that you're entering in that application and checking that it's in line with location and industry standards, because you might not be aware that if you put too high of a salary in, it might actually reject you because you're asking for too much money. You can always negotiate the salary at offer stage, but don't rule yourself out at the application stage. Give yourself a chance to blow their socks off and then you can ask for the higher quota. Easy Apply, stop it. If you're still using Easy Apply for your job applications, it's a black hole that leads nowhere, and there's other videos on my YouTube that explains in detail why. But if you've not seen that before, stop using Easy Apply. That gives you a better chance of getting higher in those places. We're going to talk about interview preparation. So try not to think about just the competency-based questions. Remember to research the role, research the organisation, and consider what your motivations are for joining, because that's what impresses in interviews. Make sure that you take an opportunity to understand what gaps you might potentially have and what your superpower would be, and be prepared to talk about that in the interview, because if you tell them how you handle your gaps and you remind them that they need that superpower, then you are the person that they're gonna select and you'll stop being second place. Make sure at the end you also stand out by asking unique questions that are memorable, that they'll remember you for. The quality of that question is the last part of your interview, so you want to make sure that you are asking good questions so that they think you're someone who can join their team. Let's think about LinkedIn for a second and see how you can optimize that a little bit further too. So first of all, be cautious of what you lean into when it comes to LinkedIn. So if you're commenting and liking, then recruiters and hiring managers can see that activity. So if you tend to put comments and that lean into the negativities of the job market, then that's the thing that people see. So consider what you're posting and make sure it's stuff that positions you as a subject matter expert rather than someone who's unhappy with the process. I get it, it's not wrong to feel this way, but it's not what you want to be seen and known for on LinkedIn. So be careful what you put out there, and because that's what might be seen and more visible. Next, have a look at your headline. So if the headline says things like currently looking for a role or currently working at company X, Those are the kind of things you don't want to have in there. What you want to have in there are the skills and the roles that you're trying to seek, so that whenever recruiters and hiring managers are searching for people, they can easily find you. Let's take a step back to think about well-being and mindset. First of all, financials might be on your mind, especially if you've been made redundant and you're going through that type of process. So before you start to look at roles that are more junior, if you're considering that compromise or you're already compromising, have a look at how many months you've got remaining in terms of your settlement and determine whether or not you can stretch that longer. If you get to the point where you've got 2 months remaining where you must get back to work, that is the time to start compromising. And if you're not at that stage yet, put your time, effort and focus into the roles that you wish to achieve, because it'll be much better for your well-being, and you will get rejected for roles that you're too overqualified for. And that does not help your well-being in this market. And finally, if you are feeling burnt out, take a break, okay? It is getting towards the end of August now. There's a couple of weeks before we get back into September. So take advantage of this time and step back. If you're genuinely feeling burnt out, you need that rest before it gets busy in September. Let me know in the comments what you're going to do with that time off, and inspire a few others to do something nice for themselves, because it's important to take this time and recharge yourself. Now, if you want to have support as it gets into September and you're interested in getting some help, book a consultation with me and let's have a free chat so I can work out how I can help you further. But for the time being, you've got plenty to think about off the back of this video. Good luck with your job search, and we'll hopefully speak soon.